Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is my in-depth review of the Mira Fertility Tracker. This is the device. Now, I did a whole how to use the device in another video. I will link below, so if that's what you're looking for, I would recommend after this video, you go over and watch that video. But in today's video, I'm gonna give you guys my pros, cons, and also who I think should purchase this device and if it's really worth the money that it costs to use Mira to track your fertility. This is a partnered video with Mira, so they have given me a code I will place down here so you guys can go and get your own Mira kit using my code Nicole40 and you will get $40 off. So if you're interested in trying Mira for yourself, you can use my discount code to get a little bit of a discount. Now, before I get into pros and cons and all that good stuff, let me just start by sharing my experience using Mira. And a little bit of a backstory, I have irregular cycles. I have had them before having children, and it has continued even after. So I was really focusing on Mira and how useful it will be for somebody who does not have consistent regular cycles. And I also have been using Mira's Max Fertility wands. So they are the purple wands right here. These wands test for E3G, LH, and PDG. With these wands, you can get a 6-day window for when you're going to ovulate. They can tell you when you ovulated and confirm it. So you can get a lot of information from these types of wands. They do have other wands that test for just your LH. They also have wands that can help to predict if you're becoming premenopausal. So I would definitely look into what wands might be best for you. But I personally would recommend these just because it gives you so much information compared to other types of testing, and I'm going to get more into that as we go through this video. Since I have struggled with infertility and I've had to go and had blood tests done and ultrasounds done to help me get pregnant, I didn't want to just use Mira by itself. I decided I would track with Mira. I would use Clearblue Digital, and then I also wanted to use my favorite way of testing in the past, which is just these easy at home ovulation kit. So these are the super cheap ovulation tests. Over this last cycle, I used Mira, I used the Clearblue Digital, and I used the Easy at Home, and I tested the whole time with all of these so that I can compare the information from Mira and Clearblue and Easy at Home. That way I can give you guys my best representation of how well I think Mira did compared to the other tests that I was taking. And I will say, if you're someone like me who has very irregular cycles, it can get very frustrating taking a lot of tests. So I'm kind of like taking this on for you guys because I know how hard it can be. And while I was testing with all three of these, I can tell you guys that I am glad that I had Mira because it gave me a sense of confidence that I have not had while trying to conceive on my own. I feel very confident in the type of experience I was getting that I've only ever really felt when I was going to a doctor and I was having ultrasounds and my blood tested to confirm ovulation. Because while I was testing, I got a peak on the Clearblue Digital, the same time that I also had a peak using the Easy at Home test, and I also had a peak using my Mira device all at the same time, which is great. You got peaks on all three of these things. So if you were testing with either one of these devices, you would say, I peaked, I'm gonna ovulate, and we're good to go. But since I wanted to continue to test, obviously Mira, you want to continue to test to see if that progesterone rises to confirm ovulation, or the PDG is not technically progesterone, it's similar, right? I kept testing with these two. Since I already used like the device reader on here, it definitely did not work as effectively as I kept testing, because I only ever got one peak using this device. So if I was only using this, I definitely would have been done testing after I had my initial peak. And I continued to test, and a few days later, Easy at Home also gave me a second peak. So it was telling me again that my LH was rising and that I could be ovulating, and it was only a few days. So there was no way that that was pregnancy hormone yet. And then Mira also gave me another peak. But between the time that I had my first LH peak and my second LH peak, my progesterone never rose above their standard using the Mira Max Wands, which is a huge deal, because if you were just testing using the Clearblue Digital or Easy at Home and you got your first LH peak, then more than likely you would have stopped testing, because that's what they all tell you to do. You get your peak LH, stop testing, because you should be ovulating within 12 to 36 hours of your initial peak of LH. But since I was testing with Mira, I never had that progesterone rise after my first LH peak. So it is telling me, hey, you didn't actually ovulate. Your body tried to ovulate, but you didn't actually confirm ovulation with your PDG. Thankfully, I kept testing, and I did have that LH rise, and then within a few days I had a progesterone rise or PDG rise, and that told me that yes, you did actually ovulate when you had that second LH peak, which is amazing, you guys. Like, if you are somebody like me who does not have consistent cycles and you need to track, or you need to go to a fertility doctor to help you conceive, having that information is just amazing. Like, that's not something that you would normally be able to have at home unless you're paying for a device like this. There's a very good chance that if I was not using Mira, or I did not have the experience that I have with testing and knowledge about my own body, that I might have stopped testing, and then I would have actually missed when I actually ovulated, right? So if you've watched my prior videos about trying to get pregnant with irregular cycles, I always say to keep baby dancing even after you think you ovulated, because even if you have an LH test strip like the Clearblue or like the Easy at Home telling you your LH is peaking, that does not mean that you for sure ovulated, okay? So after using Mira and having that PDG rise to confirm that I did ovulate, I have to admit, it makes me want to continue purchasing Mira for future cycles. That way I don't miss ovulation, especially with my prior experience with having to be on fertility medications. If I can avoid fertility medications and just spend a little bit more money on the Mira device to avoid that, I would absolutely love that, because that means I can continue breastfeeding for longer and I don't have to put my body through unnecessary, hopefully, tests as I continue on with my TTC journey. With everything I just said, let's get into the pros of using Mira, or at least the pros I found using Mira. I like the fact that they use the E3G and the LH to kind of give you a window, and the app will give you a score saying this is how likely you are to conceive in this time frame, right? So it's giving you a score based on your numbers on how high your fertility is at this point, which if you're someone who isn't a regular tracker or following along with your cycle, I think that's really good information to help you understand that even though your LH might not be peaking yet, that you should still be trying, because it's best to try or baby dance before you actually ovulate, right? You don't want to be like, oh, I'm ovulating and now start baby dancing, because you might miss your window. So I really like the fact that it's giving you a fertility score. My absolute favorite thing about the Mira is the Max Wands test for PDG. So it can say that LH peak, that ovulation actually happened. Okay, so that progesterone or PDG going up is telling you you did actually ovulate, and it wasn't your body was trying to ovulate but didn't actually. One device tracks all of that. Another thing that I liked about Mira goes towards the ease of use. I like that Mira will give you tips. So when you open the app in the morning, it says, hey, you should be doing this. You should test for these things today, or you should test, I think, both times when I had my LH go up, it recommended that I test later in the day, the time frame, stuff like that. It gives you information. I'll try to add pictures in here too, so you guys can kind of see. I tried to take screenshots of things as it was happening so I can show you guys, but it gives you information to like help you understand what's going on and what you should be doing. The fact that Mira is telling you, hey, based on your hormones, you should do these things. And this was only my first cycle using Mira. The more you use Mira, the more it's going to understand your body and your hormones, and the better it will get at understanding what is going on in your cycle. Similar to how apps work, but the apps are doing it just based on the length of your cycle and any information you're sharing with them. Unlike Mira is using the information based on the levels it is reading from your urine. Overall, I do think that this is a very user-friendly device, which I hear people talk about it being very complicated to use, which I don't really see that, because I think like as long as you can get the sample reader to work for you and connect it to your phone, it gives you a lot of information, and the app is very easy to understand. Now let's talk about cons. I think the biggest con is going to be price, right? So this is not a cheap device to buy. If you're comparing it to something like the little cheapy easy at home strips, or even the more expensive Clearblue Digital, this is a lot more money. I believe it starts at $199 for the cheapest pack, and it's even more if you want to get the more expensive wands. And then the wands are not cheap to purchase for every cycle. So if you have irregular cycles like me, you're probably going to be purchasing more wands than someone who has more consistent cycles. But you have to remember, it's also testing for other things. It's not just testing LH, right? So the information you're getting from Mira is more in depth than the information you would be getting from an easy at home test strip, right? Like this device, the app is taking the information and feeding it back to you based on what the readings are telling the app, okay? So I do think if you're someone who has really regular cycles and you just want to see, oh yeah, I got a peak, so maybe I should baby dance tonight kind of thing, then the easy at home would probably be fine for that. But it's not going to tell you for sure did ovulate. It would just tell you that your LH is peaking, unlike a device like Mira, which is going to have the progesterone to help you understand if that LH rise actually did lead to ovulation or not. And then another issue I found using Mira is when you stick the sample in, getting a sample error reading. I will say that it tended to happen when I was like half awake trying to use Mira, because I was getting up in the morning. I'd be like half awake, stick the Mira stick in and like finish with the kids and everything while it was loading, and I would like mess up doing it. Like it tells you have to be very, like leave this on a flat surface, don't shake the stick, don't shake Mira, and you need to like be very gentle with like your wand and your stick and sticking it in here. And you really do, okay? Like you can't be like shaking the urine off your stick. You can't be like turning it upside down and stuff like that. It will mess up and it will not read. Okay, so like that part, you have to be very attentive to what you're doing. If not, you will have an error in your sample. And then that's money, right? That those tests are not cheap. So if you're having that happen multiple times in a cycle, like that's not fun, right? You're gonna be wasting money on those sticks that are not cheap. So, and you don't also wanna miss a sample. So try to be very, very careful when you're sticking it in here, and go slow. Don't shake your wand. Make sure you dip it for the right amount. I also did not dispose of my sample until I got a reading from Mira. That way, if for some reason there was an error in my sample, I could still use that same sample to retest again right away. Another thing that I forgot to add in like the pros part about Mira is like I said, in the morning I would get up, go to the bathroom, put my sample test in the Mira. I would obviously leave this in the bathroom, and then I would go take care of the kids, do their stuff that they want in the morning. I could even go downstairs in my kitchen, get the kids breakfast, and my app can connect from the Mira upstairs in my bathroom downstairs in the kitchen. So I can see how much time is left on Mira's loading process. And I can also see my readings without having to go back upstairs and check, which when you're a busy mom, you have a lot going on, and you like dip something like this, and this like you really need a good 10 minutes to be able to read it. Sometimes I would dip it, like, okay, I'll come back, and then I kind of forget, and then by the time I get back to looking at this, it's like real dry. So then I'm like, oh crap, I should dip it again, like dip a new one or whatever. So then I end up dipping 2 of these too. So that's another pro, I guess, that I didn't even think about when I was writing my pros, is it's nice that I can see my test score from this, like every single amount of my sample from downstairs or from like anywhere in my house for the most part. The app is like can connect with Bluetooth from that far away, which is pretty good, because then you're not like forgetting about, even if you did forget about your sample, right? Like if I tested, put this in here, I think mine takes 21 minutes to load. Like if I did that and I forgot like 2 hours later and I was like, oh, what did my Mira score go? I literally can just go on my app and make sure it's connected to Mira and see what my score was. It doesn't matter if you dip it and forget it. Like if you're someone who doesn't have a lot of time in the mornings, you can still use Mira as long as you insert it in there and, you know, you do that first part you have to do before you have to like run out the door or something. You can always come back home later and get your scores from the Mira device. So that's really my pros and cons that I have found using Mira. I have really enjoyed using Mira personally, but just because I enjoyed using Mira, does that necessarily mean that Mira is right for you to use? I want to give you guys some of my opinions on whether or not I think it's worth you spending the money to buy Mira. Now I'm going to start with the irregular cycles, because I feel like that's something that my channel has really been focused on, is helping women who have irregular cycles get pregnant. And I do think if you are somebody who peaks multiple times in a cycle, someone who has cycles that are 50 days and more, right? Someone who has very irregular cycles, I think this is a great investment, okay? It is not cheap, but it is a great investment, because it is going to give you information that I only feel like you can get if you're going and having your blood drawn, or you are going to a doctor and they're helping you track your cycles, like you're having a monitored cycle in with a doctor, because it's a similar experience that I had when I was having monitored cycles to get pregnant and I was on Clomid. I had a similar experience, but I will say if I ever have monitored cycles again, I will still use Mira, because I hate to admit this, but I am a control freak. If you guys can't tell, okay? But if you don't have irregular cycles, but you feel great just knowing what is going on with your cycle, like if you're the kind of person that needs information to feel confident in anything that you're doing, this device is it, okay? Because this device will give you information that you can evaluate yourself, that you can look into, information that will help you understand your body in a way that testing with LH strips alone will not do. if you're somebody who is a chronic tester, like you test a lot for ovulation, you test a lot for pregnancy, and that makes you feel better about TTCing. Like if you like all of that type of testing to help you get pregnant, this is what you need. Okay, you need a device that is going to give you all that information, because it will help make you feel better about your cycle. Okay, so I'm not saying you need this or you won't get pregnant, because that's not true. Okay, like plenty of people can just baby dance every other day their whole cycle and then just end up pregnant. Okay, and that has always been my recommendation. If you have irregular cycles, or if you just really want to get pregnant, then have sex every other day or baby dance every other day, and you should end up pregnant as long as you're ovulating. But if you're doing things like that and you're not getting pregnant, you have regular cycles and you're not getting pregnant, testing with Mira and seeing that you're having an LH go up and, you know, your E3G is going up, but your progesterone never went up, that's telling you that your body might be trying to ovulate. It might think it's going to ovulate, and then you might never ovulate. And that's information that you can take to your regular doctor if you're trying to get a referral to a fertility doctor. It's information you can take to a fertility doctor and say, hey, I've been testing all these months. Here's my charts. You can see that I'm having LH rises, but my PDG is never going up, so I don't think I'm ovulating. And when you bring that information to a fertility doctor, to an OBGYN, they can better assist you on what you need to do next to help you conceive. And every doctor is going to have their own way at looking at things, but from my experience, coming in with a vast knowledge of your personal body definitely makes doctors feel more confident and setting up a protocol for you that works best for not only them, but for what you want out of a cycle. I can't stress this enough, because I think that when it comes to fertility, there's a lot of ways to spend money, right? There's a lot of money involved in TTCing, in infertility, in fertility doctors, and I think this can be a really good stepping stone from somebody who has been having sex regularly and not getting pregnant to the person who is debating going to see a fertility doctor. Yes, this is not a cheap investment, but this could be, you know, hundreds, not thousands. And if your insurance is not going to cover in-depth fertility treatments, which most insurances do not, then something like this could be what gets you pregnant before you have to go to a actual fertility doctor and have all those testing done. If you haven't started trying to get pregnant yet and you have regular, consistent cycles, it's honestly worth just trying to get pregnant on your own and giving yourself a good few months, maybe even 6 months of trying to get pregnant before you get into all of this crazy testing, unless you're someone who enjoys testing. If this is going to stress you out, don't test if it's going to stress you out. But if you enjoy testing like I do, then do what makes you happy, okay? Because that's what I do. For me, it is what I need to help me not only understand my body, but to give me the confidence that I am doing everything I can do at home to get pregnant, because I don't want to go back to a fertility doctor and I don't want to get back on fertility medications. I'd spend a few $100s on a device like this to get pregnant at home. So I hope you found this video helpful for you. My goal here is to help other women like me feel confident about getting pregnant at home by themselves. It can be very daunting to try and get pregnant all on your own without an expert here to help you. I am by no means an expert, but I am here to give you guys any advice that I personally can to help you guys feel confident about getting pregnant at home and share my experience with all of you guys. So if you have questions for me about TTCing in general or about the Mira device, then leave comments down below or head over to Instagram and message me in my DMs, and I will do my best to respond to every single one of them and help you guys in any way I can. If there is something about Mira that I did not hit on here in this video. This is my second video on Mira, and I will link my first video right here for you guys of my Mira unboxing and how-to. So if you purchase Mira and you want to figure out how to use Mira, this video would be great for you guys, and I'll see you over there. Bye.